All right, you're welcome back. The seat of the Senate president has become one of the most coveted as Nigeria's biggest political parties. The ruling All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party battled to regain and retain possession of it.
Yeah, the National Assembly complex has become a battleground since Senate President Bukola Saraki defected from the APC to the PDP. Impeachment threats have been flying all over the place, and APC-PDP senators are at daggers drawn. There are speculations that APC senators, in connivance with the executive, might forcibly remove Saraki and his deputy Ekweremadu when the Senate reconvenes.
But Section 50, subsection 2 of the Constitution is clear on how a Senate president can be impeached. A two-third majority is required for that to happen. Now, the question is, will the APC meet the two-thirds requirement of 73 senators to impeach Senate President Bukola Saraki? That question and many more will be posing to our guests right here in the studio and, of course, in Abuja. APC member Ayodele Adewale, good morning. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks
nice to have you join us.
And we also have a member of the PDP, Segun Showumi, joining us from our Abuja studio. And also right there in our Abuja studio, Honorable Osai, Nicholas Osai of the PDP, representing Delta State, is also with us to discuss this.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Thank
morning,
you.
Mike. Good morning.
All right.
Okay, let's begin this way. Let's start off right here in the studio. Since you are an APC member, Ayodele Adewale, what exactly are the sins of Senate President Saraki? Why does the APC want him out as Senate President by all means possible?
Well, I would renege from the word all means possible. It's just a matter of logic and a matter of common sense that when you put up a structure and you've planned your way, your route towards achieving a purpose, and you start having spanners on your wheel, definitely you have to remove that spanner in order for the wheel to continue to move as it has been planned. Ab initio, there was a grand design for the APC to have come into office to achieve all of its programs, and suddenly there was a stagger. Even with that, they kept moving. You heard what the president said, that he can work with whoever. And ordinarily, we would have thought that that statement would have sufficed and allowed things to happen. But you started seeing delay in budget approval, delay in approval of lists that have been submitted to the National Assembly for different positions and all of that. That does not presupposes that you have a partner in the leadership of the National Assembly. And to now rub salt to the wound, you went ahead to now put an opposing interest as the deputy Senate president. It doesn't really sink. I've never seen such a thing in any corner of democracy in the world. Yes, you could have alliances. You could have alliances as agreed by the mother body, which is the party. But if the party have not agreed to that, then you cannot be working abeyance. If you do that, it is tantamount to betrayal of the common cause.
Okay, well, I wonder why, because if it's the issue of budget and so on, I wonder why now that the APC is coming to say we don't want him to be Senate President anymore.
3 years.
But we'll come to this. Let's go to Abuja. Let me bring on Honorable Osai, Nicholas Osai. You are a member of the National Assembly. Now, there has been much talk about horse trading, lots of meetings, nocturnal meetings holding in respect of tactics to be deployed in removing the leadership of the Senate. I know you are a member of the House of Rep, but at least I know you have an idea of what's going on within the National Assembly. Can you give us an idea what is going on in that regard?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mike. I think there are really no problem in terms of what is going on in the National Assembly. National Assembly is on some vacation till September 25th. You could remember that the executive did not bring the issues of supplementary budget on time. The budget came at the very last week that we are to go on recess. So what is happening today, it shows that the APC as a party leading which is at the center, has really not put his house in order and trying to divert attention of Nigerian instead of looking into governance. You know, governance is very simple. APC have failed to secure Nigeria. APC has also failed to midwife the economy. And these are key issues that Nigerians should be asking APC and not removal of the Senate president because they don't have the number. You need 73 out of the 109 senators to be able to impeach a Senate president. And that is practically impossible for APC. So probably APC is trying to divert the attention of Nigeria from Nigerians seeing that their government has totally collapsed and failed. And they shouldn't blame the Senate or blame the House of Representatives because it's very clear that everything the president have requested, both chambers has already given to him without any exception. So the issues of the national party chairman of the All Progressive Congress, coming out to talk about an undemocratic nature of removing a sitting Senate president and his deputy, it shows clearly that the national chairman is uninformed.
All right, let me pose this question then to Segun Shoumi. He's also a PDP member. Quoting Oshomole this morning, Saraki will be lawfully and democratically impeached. And he says, I insist that 49 senators cannot preside over the affairs of a house in which APC has 56 senators. Okay, now that Oshomole says Saraki will be removed lawfully and democratically, and then the issue of minority and majority in the Senate, is that any comfort to you, Segun Shoumi?
Well, I had, over the last couple of weeks, been looking for the best set of adjectives to use to describe what Adams Oshomole has become in the public discussion space of Nigeria. And I could only come up with an unintended recruiting error on the side of the APC. You see, when the APC did their convention and produced a national chairman, one of the minimum that one would have expected for him is that, okay, yes, bring in some energy, but also recognize that you cannot overheat the polity with your adjectives and the kinds of things you say and how you say it and the frequency. There are two layers to how the country is governed. One part of it is the party where candidates are produced and then they go for election and they win or whatever happens to them. The other level is when they now finally become maybe senators, president, governors, and what have you. The party must understand that for the House of Senate and the Reps, it's a self-regulating organization with its own rules. They have their rules on how they elect their members. They have their rules on how they remove their members. Even if the party is uncomfortable with something, it can use the instrumentality of its party caucus to try and persuade and talk and all that. But it can never be the responsibility of the national chairman of any of the parties, especially Adams Oshomole, to begin to speak to issues that he has absolutely no control over, to speak to issues that he cannot even mitigate over. For instance, if he says he's going to remove the Senate president by crook or by means or by all means possible and all that, how is he exactly going to achieve that? He has to first of all understand that it is up to the senators themselves working with their own rules to determine the fate of Saraki.
Segun Shoumi, let me come in very quickly. The quote I read to you now says, according to Oshomole, quoting Oshomole, that Saraki will be lawfully and democratically impeached, and not necessarily by all means possible. We need to get that clear.
Okay, maybe,
all right,
that line has
yes.
gone off, but we will have him to maybe answer that or make that clarification. But let me come to you, Ayodele. The national chairman of the APC, Adams Oshomole, from the statement and the way he's going about it, the National Assembly, like Segun said, is an institution of its own. The posture of the national president insisting that the national or the president of the president of the Senate should be and will be impeached, would that amount to an interference in the running and the working of an independent institution of government?
It does not. It does not. As As long as that institution still remain autonomous, you must not forget the fact that the constituents of that system belongs to some interest. So it's not as if the system, produces itself. No, the constituent of it belong to other systems, and the controllers of those systems or the guardians of those systems do have authoritative power to discuss with their members and agree on what they are going to do there. Remember also that every senator comes from a constituency where he or she has been voted into power. And before they do anything or say anything, you must revert back to your constituency. You are not there on your own. As long as you have that, there's also a template that brought you to power. So that template will continue to harmonize discussion, harmonize thought in order to achieve a purpose. If you allow every senator, every rep member to go there and do their own bidding, you'll be creating a banana republic. Because the party has a program, and you must be seen to achieve the program of the party. Otherwise, the party will go into extinction.
All right, Osai, Honorable Osai, this is to you. Okay, right now, what Ayodele Adewale has said in the studio is you cannot allow the lawmakers that free hand to do just their bidding. There should be some level of interference from the executive, if I read him correctly. Would you agree with that, especially against the backdrop of the concept of checks and balances?
Yeah, really, I completely don't disagree with the submission of the last speaker in terms of the nexus between the party and the lawmakers and the executive. There should be harmony in the relationship. And that harmony is to build in the nation. And that money should not be to disrupt the working of another institution. And that is why there's a complete separation of power in presidential democracy, where you have checks and balances embedded into it. The checks on the executives and the checks on the legislature. And the essence of the platform which these legislative arms are coming from in terms of recruitment, that there should be that discussion going on, but not to, you must discuss to the limit to which you have power to exercise. The party do not have power to remove the Senate president. The party can pass through his members to talk to his member if they have the actual number to be able to remove a sitting Senate president or deputy Senate president. Whereby you don't have the number, you don't come to the public media and be able to talk and derail virtually everything the country is doing. I think that's what the national chairman of All Progressive Congress is doing. He could do that without even the nation hearing about it. You could discuss with your members without the nation hearing about it. But not to come to the pages of newspaper or come to the electronic media and be boasting that you are going to remove a sitting president, Senate president, where you don't have the number. I think that is my take on that. As for the party meeting with his member, I think it's normal. It's supposed to be there, even on quarterly basis, so that the members can be able to drive the program of the party. But currently, found out that the APC have got no program. They came with a mattress of change. And the change is for security and economy. But our economy has gone bad. It means they have not done anything. And if you also check the issue of security, you could see killing every part of the country, bloodshed. So what can APC talk about that? I think the national chairman should be able to drive that process on how our nation can be peaceful. And every ethnic group living together in harmony to be able to bring development in our country.
Okay. All
Not
right.
to dissipate his power on issues of removal of a sitting Senate president whereby he doesn't have the number.
Okay, Honorable Sai, yeah, we'll come back to you. Now, before I come to you, Shegun, let me come to Ayodele to have his reaction. There's this statement every time about reminding us that the president, when he was coming in, promised that he was going to deliver on security, deliver on corruption, and deliver on economy. 3 cardinal points of his. And we've heard analysts, politicians, Nigerians saying that the government has not really delivered, or the political party that you are on has not really delivered. it has just been resonated by Honorable Osai there. What's your reaction when you hear people say that the president or your party has not delivered?
The last speaker, I would not want to say that he's not a student of history. You should understand history very well and how all of these things climaxed. During their administration, the country was run aground, economy was run aground. And even their own Minister for Finance was warning them seriously that if you guys don't start to save, if you don't start to work some economic principles, the economy was going to crash. And it did crash. And APC came in when it crashed, particularly our mainstay, which is the oil revenue and all of that. But we were still able to manage the weather to the extent that the country did not finally go aground and all of this. And I will take from the president saying, particularly, I think they went for a campaign in Kano or Katsina. He was with the vice president in the bus. And he told the vice president, look at all of these people. He's very sure that they believe as soon as they hit ground, that all of their problems will be solved magically. You and I know that things cannot work that way. And with the kind of building block that the APC is putting in place, is making sure that these things are very deepened and enshrined to the extent that Nigeria's economy will be totally independent. And that is what has led us to review our foreign policies, review our economic policies in order for all of these things to stay. We are not playing with magic here. We are playing with reality, and with reality, things are moving forward drastically and for our better.
All right, Shagun Showme, Adewale is saying the reality is the right foundation necessarily was not laid. And so that is why the APC more or less has to be given time to lay that foundation that seems to have been missing. And that is why the polity is the way it is, including, of course, the economy, security, and the issue of corruption. Let me bring this moral question as to why a Senate president who is no longer in the ruling party should continue as the Senate president. Should there be any morality in this at all? And then again, it seems that on both sides, nobody seems to be looking at exactly what the Constitution says in order to find a way forward.
Okay, thank you very much for that. The first thing that escaped with the moral argument was that you can always remind yourself of what happened in 2014 when Right Honorable Tambuwal decamped, and he decamped from the PDP to APC. Because the PDP is a far more mature party, okay, we tried to change it, it couldn't change. We left it at that and we moved on. In terms of what the law says, I took the liberties of going to search through and find out what exactly is the position of the law. And I think this case of how a Senate president can be removed or not removed was settled by Justice Oguntade, Court of Appeal, in the case between the National Assembly versus the President, 2003, beg your pardon, 9 Nigerian Weekly Law Report, Part 824, page 132. What the law said was that, look, we have looked at the arguments on both sides, and we insist that the majority that the two-thirds you are looking for is not two-thirds of the people that you can sequester into a room and say you are getting two-thirds of maybe 10 or 15. No, it's two-thirds of the entire members of the entire numbers that you have. Of the 109, you need two-thirds. That's where the number is. So truly and sincerely, that's not going to happen very quickly unless, of course, they are able to achieve it democratically. The reason why people are a little bit agitated on this matter has to do with the fact that just about a week or so ago, we saw an attempt by DSS operative to just go run riot on the assembly. And if you now have the national chairman of the party speaking the way he speaks, you kind of get to begin to fear that perhaps they are the ones behind it. But all the same, an investigation has been called, first by the former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, and now resonating with other members of the public that, look, find us an investigation, a thorough investigation into what happened. And when you have done the investigation, report back to us that we may safeguard the democracy. On the talk of whether they didn't get the foundation, I think Nigerians need to know why they ran aground. They ran aground because it took them like 6-7 months to form a cabinet. That's very low for the kind of economy we run. They ran aground because in the early stages they were running like 5 exchange rates. One for those going to Mecca, one for those going to school, one for the people that could sit down in their rooms and just call the banks and just, when you have like 5 exchange rates and none of them is really stable. And then they had also a medley of new ideas that they were trying that they weren't really testing or tested. Obviously, the price of petroleum goes up and goes down. During the 16-year rule of PDP, there were times that the price of petroleum was really, really down. We found out a way to manage. During the 16 years of PDP, and it's a little bit annoying when you hear that they got nothing. If they got nothing, what was the money that they used to give the lifeline to the state? Where did they get it from? The nature of business and government is that government is a continuum. You take on the baton, you collect the instrument of transfer of power, you look at the notes that were handed over to you, the handover note, and you get to work quickly. If you take about 7 months to form government, if you cannot manage your own House of Assembly that you had the majority, if everything falls to pieces in your face, if your president is an absentee president who goes on long leave, if your ministers are not really checked, if they are allowed to forge documents and they are not corrected, you are not going to be able to get an economy to run well. So it's not about blaming any other person, but blaming the party that took over government without a prepared plan of how to do it. And if they say they are doing some things now, okay, then another election is coming up in a couple of months' time. Nigerians will have to do a referendum. Make up their mind whether they want to be dying every day. Make up their mind whether they don't want food on their table.
Shegu, let me put you on hold a little because we need to allow it go around so we can... all right, we'll come back to you shortly. Ayodele, let me come to you on this. Now, the issue of the law is clear as to how a Senate president or the leadership of the Senate or House of Reps can be removed, or anybody can be removed from office. Public office holder can be removed for that matter. Now, in this case of the Senate president, Saraki, we expect that the APC should have even gone to court to find, interpretation as to what the law says and so on, especially when it comes to the issue of if you are on the platform of the political party. If you leave the party, you must go back to your constituents to get the fresh mandate. Well,
the APC is sticking very strictly to what the law says, and that is why we have challenged the Senate President to convene a sitting. Just convene a sitting and see whether we have the numbers or not, regardless of whatever argument that Mr. Showumi and the rest are putting forward. Just convene the meeting today and see whether you'll not be impeached by the provision of the law today.
So are you saying, in other words, that why you want the Senate President to reconvene the Senate is for the purposes of impeaching him and not necessarily to look at the matters of national importance like the INEC funding and the environment, the bonds, and what have you? And as a matter of fact, Saraki has said, the Senate President, that there are really no reports really for the Senate to even look at in the first place that would require them to reconvene.
That is a lie. There is a report before the Senate already. If Saraki does really have the concerns of this country and the sovereignty of this country at heart, he should have convened a meeting for them to deliberate on the INEC matter. Because if you don't deliberate on the INEC matter quickly, you are going to frustrate that process.
All right. Honorable Osai, let me come to you on this. Now, a lot of people watching the drama taking place at the National Assembly are saying that it's a typical show of the fact that our democracy is still not a mature one. But others say it is the beauty of democracy. But in all of this, how is this shaping the kind of democracy we're running?
Yeah, in a presidential democracy, there always been a conflict. The Constitution is clear on that, because by different institutions perform different kind of assignments, and it needs a leader, which is supposed to be the president, to be able to shape the way the nation should go. That means he needs to be able to liaise with the judiciary and work in harmony with the legislature. But since the 3 years of APC, the executive have been fighting the legislature. So it shows that the leadership of the country today has some deficiency. And for an APC government that's supposed to form a very strong, united government to be able to drive the process of taking the nation to another level, I think the APC government has failed. And that reminds me, when you tell me that I'm not a student of history, it's really unfortunate, clearly unfortunate, because at the beginning of the APC government, you discover that for 7 months, the people that are supposed to run the government were not there. Only the president cannot run the government. He needs assistance from ministers and other parastatals to be able to run the government. And that is why the economy nosedived. And to that extent, it was difficult for the APC government to recover the economy again. Today, we're all living witness in this country that for 3 years, APC government has borrowed more money than 16 years of PDP, putting Nigeria in debt. We're also living witness that our mothers and our fathers are being killed in the farms every day, and nobody's talking about it. We're also living witness that PDP left a good network of roads in our country, and today all the roads are deplorable. These are very clear signs of a government that have come to power without experience. I think it's a very clear issue.
All right.
So the system of democracy is supposed to run in harmony. And that's why there's a separation of power with checks and balances embedded into it.
All right. Your
But
point
today,
is well
what are we
taken.
witnessing? Executive imperialism against the legislature.
All right, your point is very well taken, Osai. Let me bring it back to Ayodele Adewale right here in the studio. Number one, Osai cites the issue of, he says that the executive has really been against the legislature. And that is a major problem. And in the papers today, Nigeria borrows 2.75 trillion naira in 1 year. Can you really fault some of the issues that Osai has raised there about the APC's performance in 3 years?
The APC have performed very wonderfully in the last 3 years. And if you talk about borrowing, what are they borrowing the money for? Is it to pay salaries or to fund infrastructural provision?
Our debt profile right now stands at over 22 trillion naira. Would you say that those borrowings and this debt profile has been justified so far?
All of those profiles were not aggregated during the APC government alone.
Okay, if you say that 2.75 trillion in 1 year,
yes.
Has it been justified?
That is why I'm asking. That's why I'm saying that those money were channeled to infrastructural provision.
Okay.
They were not channeled to recurrent expenditure. And with infrastructure, you are guaranteed of getting your money back and helping the economy to move very well. Now, these are infrastructural deficits that we inherited from the PDP administration. He also talked about impeachment of the National Assembly headsmen and all of that. There were 2 impeachments that were surrounded with controversy, Ewerem and Okadigbo. Who impeached them? How were they impeached? For what purpose were they impeached? That's why I say he's not a student of history. Ewerem was even impeached while coming from the airport. He had never even known that he was impeached. You understand?
Remember Okadigbo talked about the banana peel in the...
You understand? Yes. They started this wind of impeachment without any credible justification for those impeachment. Now, the APC did not even bother itself about that until the Senate President interloped and showed his true color by going to the PDP. No government anywhere will allow that, particularly when you have majority in the House of Assembly.
All right. Before we go to Shegun, the issue of the law anywhere has not said that the majority of...
When you talk about majority,
the majority of the party in the majority must be the one to present the president.
The majority we're talking about is just not by the number.
Okay.
There are some people who have aligned that are waiting for the seat to be convoked. When that sitting is convoked, you are going to see people coming out to say that they support the stand of the APC. And
you also, you certainly will not refute the fact that there are also members of the APC who are going to align the other way too.
There is no member of the APC. We have dotted the I's and crossed the T's very well. And that's why we're saying, let the Senate President convoke a sit-in.
Okay. Shegun, let me come to you on this. The political atmosphere is getting more interesting or getting more charged as the case may be. But when it comes to the issue of the knowledge of what is going on, because the average voter, the average Nigerian, he's the ultimate in all of this because the power belongs to him as to decide who owns what, who gets what, where and how. How are Nigerians carried along in all of this? Because they're saying that all this defection and whatever the political bigwigs are doing is for their own interest.
Fortunate, you know, With what we have seen in Nigeria for some time now, I started to research some other democracy. I started to read how the Chinese get themselves to deliver and also develop and move very fast and do participation. One of the things that is beginning to come out heavily from the little research that I'm doing is that we must find a way to educate the electorate to such a point that the electorate will know what to look out for in a good leader. In fact, what we have on ground today is such that the electorate themselves don't even know what to look out for. So the electorate is mostly barraged with whatever it is that the politicians are saying without asking the significant question. For if the electorate were to ask the significant questions, they will come to the verdict that no, this cannot be the way to run our country. Democracy itself is a journey. Some of the mistakes of the early days of PDP cannot be but learning curves for any other government that is being formed. So for the APC to be in government after about 15 or 16 years that we've been running multi-party democracy, we've been running all the instruments of democracy, we've been running the legislature, the executive and the judiciary relationship, only for them to now come to the point where they are now acting as if there's nothing in the law books, there's nothing in the court orders, there's nothing that the courts have said. Some of these arguments have been tested. And they have been tested because of the learning curve of the 16 years before APC came into power. Now that APC is in power, what Nigerians want to see is, Nigerians want to see governance. Nigeria wants to see sustainable development. Nigeria wants to see food on the table. Nigeria wants to see jobs. Nigeria wants to see unity. Nigeria wants to see security. In all of this front, because of the style of the APC and its leaders, these conversations are not taking place. If you are not discussing, somebody has
show me, if I may come in very quickly, still staying with you. All the things that you have just listed, were those things present under the PDP administration in the 16 years that they were there?
Can I hear you again?
You've just listed, you know, Nigerians want jobs, Nigerians want security, Nigerians want this and that. Would you say that all of those things were present under the PDP administration?
Oh, you seem to forget that we took over government from a pariah state for the country. We are just taking over government from a military system. The country itself had already been declassified. They couldn't even write a letter of credit. The country itself had a depressed economy. The country had very little people who could have access to school. The country had little people who had access to telephone. The country had people who could not even live on a reasonable, decent wage. The country did not even have liberalization of the telecommunication or the media space. Some of these growths took place there. We put a university in every town. We started putting schools everywhere. Okay. We did Almajiri schools. We opened up the economy. We expanded the space. We allowed democracy to thrive. We built jobs. We built roads. We started the repairing of the rails. We made the rails go back again. We put food on people. We're not done. We're not saying we did everything, but we're saying that we did so much that the APC has cancelled now because of their carelessness.
All right.
What is that we've never had a country that was this divided.
Okay, do you have anything to say to that? And then very quickly, just to add to that, as you make
you saw my body language.
Yeah,
I was so amused. I was so amused.
Yes.
I was so amused. You planting schools everywhere, schools that have no roots, that have no infrastructure, that ASU had to go on strike for a very long time, that the NLC was going on strike.
ASU has
potholes.
We are
creators on our roads, and all of these things. Insecurity became the fashion of the day.
ASU continues to go on strike.
Yes.
The health sector continues to be in a state that is nothing to write home about.
Yes. These are aggregate of monumental failure that we inherited, and we are gradually untangling them, and the resources are not enough. We need to grow more resource and grow more human capacity in order to resolve many of these national questions. But I can assure you that at the end of these 4 years, and given another 4 years, combined with what we have, all of these national issues would have been resolved.
Okay. Honorable Said, I think we may have to end this with you. Let me come to you on this now. Going forward, certainly, Nigerians are expecting so much from whichever political party, whomever, stands out there one way or the other. But if the National Assembly reconvenes now, how would things really play out from what you are seeing and what you are assessing?
I think the National Assembly members are one. What you are hearing from the public today is not what you hear when the House reconvene. We're all comrades together. And you will see that the issues of the INEC budget, we are going to pass it because Nigeria must elect new leadership. APC has failed to keep the democratic culture because when you see a lot of impunity happening in our country, people do not obey laws, people do not even obey the court rulings. It shows that we are degenerating from where we have consolidated democracy. Democracy, you need to build a democratic culture, not what you are seeing when an APC national chairman is making a lot of statements, unguided statements, that are not in line with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria or with other status books.
All right, thank you very much, Osai. Let me take this to...
is not known to build a correct democratic culture.
Okay, because we're pressed for time. Segun Showunmi, this is to you now. The issue of treasonable felony seems to be arising with the failure, according to the APC, the fact that the Senate President failed to reconvene the Senate amounts to treason, more or less. I wonder what you have to say about that. Segun Showunmi.
It's part of the loquacious irresponsibility and usage of adjective by the national chairman of the fraction of the PDP, Adams Oshiomhole. Does he even know the meaning of treason? Does he know how weighty that word is? In the first instance, the Senate was properly put on recess. If you want them to reconvene via some other arrangement, you cannot say that when you are the one putting obstacle in their presence and preventing them from reconvening, you now come around and say that is treasonable felony. If we're not even careful, everybody in Nigeria except Adams Oshiomhole and probably Muhammadu Buhari will be free to be able to offer an opinion and even hold a point of view. It's totally uncalled for, it's irresponsible, it must be called to order, and he must just leave the high responsibility of his new office. He's the national chairman of the ruling party. He must speak like one. This is not the time for his former Luther-style University Day narrative and Janjaweed talk. He has to speak in a dignified manner.
All right, Segun, thank you. Ayodele, let me come to you finally on this. What will be the big message of your party to Nigerians as we go to the next polls, certainly?
The big message is hope. Nigeria should be very hopeful that the APC will deliver on all its electoral promises, and beyond that, that will make sure that there is peace and security for all Nigerians in the land. Okay, and well, we wonder if there's a way out of this political or constitutional crisis right now, but we'll have to leave it there. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Ayodele Adewale, APC member, Segun Showunmi, PDP member in Abuja there, and Honorable Osai Nicholas Osai, also representing the PDP in Delta State. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this morning. Thank you for having us.
All right, and just before we go, just to let you know that the views and reactions of our resource persons on the topics discussed on the program today are their views and have no connection with TVC News. We must thank you so much for spending your morning with us. Let's just do a rundown of a few papers, maybe two each, and let's see. The New Telegraph is reporting today, Oshiomhole to senators, impeach Saraki, get automatic ticket.
And Vanguard, SARS, Oshibajo orders probe of abuses, IG rejigs squad. Okay.
All right, and then Daily Sun is saying, as Oshibajo reads the Riot Act, SARS shake-up. And then we also have Saraki Dogara saying no to National Assembly reconvening. And the Daily Trust, why we need more external debt, that's the federal government. Profile stands at 22.38 trillion naira, according to the Debt Management Office. That's the present debt of Nigeria. All right, the Nation newspaper, anger over Saraki's refusal to recall National Assembly. And no plan to recall lawmakers, and Senate House leaders warn against constitutional crisis. And the Punch, clearing any doubts right now about how Saraki will be removed. Oshiomhole says he will be removed lawfully and democratically. Okay. We'll wait to see how things will pan out as we go in the days ahead. Have a great day, and thanks for spending your morning with us. I am Mike Okwacha. And I'm Ngozi Ali. We'll see you again tomorrow, Thursday. What a Wednesday it's been on the show.